We did a thing.
Did it.
Woo! We did it. Hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another Double Trouble review of AEW Rampage and AEW Collision. We are covering the Friday and Saturday episodes of the two AEW weekend shows, respectively, on Friday, July 26th and Saturday, July 27th. We will not be covering Battle of the Belt because that is a lot, and that would be us reviewing 4 hours of AEW television, but I am keeping my eye on the results, so if anything significant happens, I will let you know. Honestly, the only match I'm really looking at is who's going to be the ROH 6-man tag champs, because we're getting new champs after they decided to split the belts. That's a whole nother review.
Right, we'll talk about that later.
Anyways, but I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and I'm super excited to be back from my trek through the wilderness. I was on a journey. I found myself. And everybody else didn't get didn't let the place burn down while I was gone. So I'm super excited and happy about that.
You're welcome.
We tried.
A shout out to everyone who held the fort down while I was on my mini camping trip. Thank y'all. Y'all are great. But joining me this evening, first and foremost, you know her, you love her. You're going to be seeing her interact with some other unruly folks when we combine AEW shows. Stay tuned till at the end for that announcement. But Alice is here. I am super excited. This is going to be so fun. I have so many questions, Alice. We won't talk about it tonight.
We are going to talk about it.
And of course, rounding out our trio of Double Trouble review panelists, if you will. I mean, he's my right-hand man. He is Alice's right-hand man in all the senses. So this is going to be an interesting one. But Adolfo is in the house. Rocket Cat ears, love it.
Saludos, programas. Good evening. Ready to talk about wrestling. Let's go.
This is going to be good. So we are covering Rampage and Collision, so stay tuned for the end because I have a special announcement because it's about to get buck wild in the next couple weeks. But I am going to tag in Adolfo as he is going to lead us through Rampage, and then I will tag in to lead us through Collision because a lot kind of went down, but not really. But Rampage is where I have the most questions, so tagging in Adolfo.
So in my personal opinion, this was the story of two complete different spectrum shows, right? So we're going to go through Rampage quickly. So this is for Rampage from July 26th. So the first and I guess the longest card on the match on the card was the Royal Rampage. So it was the Royal Rampage. So the Rampage was filmed at where they had blood and guts, so they had two rings out.
Tennessee.
In Nashville, Tennessee. So they used those rings to have this Royal Rampage. So what it is the Royal Rampage, for those that have never seen this type of match before, you have 2 wrestling rings right next to each other. You have 10 entrants that come in kind of in a staggered Royal Rumble type way. The last wrestler standing in each prospective ring then fight each other, and the winner will be going on to face whoever is the AEW World Champion at Grand Slam in September. So that is pretty much the makeup of it. I'm not going to get into like the who. What I am going to do is I'm going to tell you who was in Ring 1 and then who was in Ring 2. So in Ring 1, we had Orange Cassidy, Brody King, Tomohiro Ishii, The Butcher, Roddy Strong, Brandon Cutler, who got tossed right out, so we can forget him, Kyle O'Reilly, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Darby Allin, and they were all in Ring 1. And then in Ring 2, we had Claudio Castagnoli, Commander, The Machine Brian Cage, Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, who came in off of from the announce table, which is interesting. Kip Sabian, Nick Wayne, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, the Beast Mortos, Leo Rush, and that was everyone that was in ring 2. So after everyone got tossed out, the last 2 standing was Darby and Claudio Castagnoli. And then Darby Allin comes up with the win, so he's going to be going for the AEW World Championship at Grand Slam in September. So what I do want to do is I'm going to start with you, Mikey, and I'm going to ask you for your highlights of the Royal Rampage.
Okay, I'll give my quick thoughts. Normally around this time, around the summer after Blood and Guts, we get the Royal Rampage because now we're setting up the remainder of leading into the beginning of fall when it comes to all these matches. I'm super happy for Darby. I like Darby. I'm a Darby fan. I'm happy he's getting this shot at Grand Slam. But I got lots of questions because he also has a match coming up at Wembley, and I feel like AEW just gave away result of that match. Anyways, but we can talk about that a little bit. But overall thoughts, it was fine. Royal Rampage, it is what it is, but they threw everybody who didn't have a chance, and maybe like 1 or 2 people got a chance. Low key, I would have laughed, and I would have actually been really cool if Jeff Jarrett actually won. Just spice it up a little bit, but I'm super happy that Darby won. But yeah, I have so many questions when it comes to all that. Alice, how did you feel about what opened up Rampage this week?
It was entertaining. It was a change in, the usual setup. So that was nice. I also sort of wish there was a little more of a setup for you to know what's kind of going on. I know, I saw everybody, there was the Rampage Royal, so there were advertisements and stuff. But it didn't really seem clear, what the goal of this was for. So there was all that. It was nice. I think a highlight for me for this match was I liked when Brody King and Darby Allin pulled it out of the ring and brought it into the crowd a little bit. I thought that was exciting because they were kind of the only 2 people who did that. And in one of these kinds of events, it's really hard to keep track of what is going on because there is so much going on. It's a lot of chaos. Once a certain amount of people get thrown out over the top rope, then you start to see you're like, okay, this is happening over here. This is happening over here, which is nice. I did for me, I liked how in one ring they had the entire conglomeration and the entire Undisputed Kingdom, because they have definitely some tension going on. So it was cool that they put them there. Also, Hangman Adam Page showed up out of nowhere to attack Jeff. Nope.
No,
JJ.
You're right.
Yeah.
He attacked Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett. Yeah. And of course, that's it's following another storyline. He was not involved in the Rampage Royal, but showed up just to throw a couple punches and get upset. And so that did. So that was good. Yeah.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, because as we mentioned, Darby wins this thing.
Yes.
I like Darby.
Yes.
But before we started, me and you talked a little bit. We're like, did we forget that Darby has a match at Wembley? So did you just tell me that he's not going to win at Wembley now?
Right. I'm feeling a little bit wait a second. I love that he won this. That was so fun to watch. I particularly loved how he was just kind of laying on the mat and rolling around until the other ring was done, just kind of waiting his time. biding his time, if you will. But yeah, I'm a little anxious because I want him to win at Wembley. And I'm a little anxious that this means that he is not going to.
I was like, AEW just written. Almost like AEW spoiled everything before it started. Like what? I mean, who knows? They might give Darby the title, but the other thing too, and I didn't think about it until you brought it up too. I'm kind of surprised that Hangman wasn't involved in this Royal Rampage. I'm going to be honest. If Hangman was in here, I would have actually liked Hangman to win because then he gets a future shot. And it doesn't matter if it's Swerve or Danielson because he got beef with both. Right. Yes. So that would have been great. But you know what? Cheers to Darby. He's going to be not only going to Wembley, but he will also be probably in the main event at Grand Slam in September too, because that match is probably going for the titles, probably going to main event that episode of Dynamite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I would hope so. Yeah.
I hope so too. So this was like a good half hour of the show, and then
it was 40 minutes.
Yeah,
I was just 40 minutes of the show, and Rampage is 1 hour. Right, so they have 40 minutes of this Rampage Royal, and then we have 20 minutes to shove in the entire rest of the show.
Let's just get there because we had to give like each match like maybe even 5 minutes, if that.
Maybe, if that, because we then had Chris Statlander in action. Mm-hmm. So she was fighting a local wrestler.
Well, actually, Layla is part of the roster. It's just we haven't seen her in a hot minute.
Just haven't seen her in a hot minute.
Which is sad because Layla's really good. But yeah, she was with Red and Jade when they were part of the baddies. But
got it. Well, that's my bad. Thank you, Mikey. But yeah, this was good. But it was literally a minute. This match, literally a minute. We were like. Both looked at our watches. It was like, let's time it. Let's see how long this is. A minute. Like a minute match. Which is a bummer because I love watching Chris Statlander. She's really great.
She is, but we keep putting her in these squash matches. Like, yeah. I know we're waiting for her and Willow to have their blow-off match, which, spoiler alert, we got that confirmed on Collision that it seems that next week they're going to fight it out. Yeah. Which also means to tell me I don't think Deanna's winning tonight at Battle of the Belts, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking of timing issues, like we thought that match was quick. The next match was even quicker.
Correct. Right. Yeah. Then we have Archer, right?
Yeah.
Come out and I think they're trying to make him look big and scary for his upcoming feud with Will Ospreay. I'm not afraid of him, though. It's not working for me.
No, it's been really weird because they started to push Lance and then they didn't. And then they paired him with the Righteous and ROH, but then they stopped with that. I don't know what we're doing with Lance Archer. Like, I mean.
Yeah. Again, I think we're having a hard time figuring out where he fits.
Yeah, I was like, we're trying to fit this puzzle piece in, and he's going to be running it back from their New Japan history with Will Ospreay on Dynamite. Spoiler alert from Collision when they announced that, which I'm excited, but we got to figure out where to put him because he's kind of just running ramp shot and rough shot all over AEW, but there's no like clear direction.
Yeah. I feel like there's no clear direction. I feel like, I think they're having a hard time trying to figure out where he fits in. This is a shame. Like, I think I like him as a wrestler. I don't particularly think he's good on the mic, but I like his work in ring. So I just wish we could just figure that out.
We really can. And speaking of things that they need to figure out, again, the booking of how we got these matches was all over the place. They should have started with these last 3 matches first and then end with the Royal Rampage, because after those 2 singles matches, we get to our main event, but it didn't feel like a main event because we had to cut off the entrances. Like nobody got an entrance.
No one got an entrance. We cut. Everybody's in the ring already. Like we should have flip-flopped it and called the Royal part, the Royal Rampage, the main event, and had these matches before it.
Nobody got an entrance. It was like, all right, guys, you got like 7 minutes left of broadcasting time.
You're
like,
muted, darling.
figure it out.
There we go. Yeah, because and then you had Kyle Fletcher and Roosh kind of like sitting there. Kyle Fletcher was acting like, you know, he was just like bored all the time. But at any rate, so for the main event on Rampage, we had a three-way. Yes, we had a three-way tag team match where we had Private Party. We had Roosh and Kyle Fletcher from. I'm sorry, it was a four-way.
It was
a
four-way.
four-way.
Bars.
It was a four-way.
Like a three-way. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So we had. Yeah, I mean, it felt like like it was just three teams. But at any rate, so Private Party versus Roosh and Kyle Fletcher of the Don Callis family versus the Outrunners versus the Righteous. And you know, for the most part, it was the Outrunners getting lumped up in this match. And then Private Party got lumped up. And then in the last like minute or two, here comes Roosh and Kyle Fletcher, and they get the 1-2-3 win.
Yeah.
So not in my opinion, not the best match, not the best storytelling. It felt very almost slapped together, dare I say.
Or they cut huge parts out of it because the Royal Rampage was so long.
Yeah, for the Royal Rampage, yeah. That's true. So that was that match. What did you think, Mikey?
I was like, between Death Before Dishonor and here, the Outrunners are just getting clowned on, and it makes me very sad. But again, this should not have been the main event because the Royal Rampage honestly, I would have rather had you switch this match and the Royal Rampage. Like, have this fatal four-way open up the show and then close with the Royal Rampage, because then it would better pacing. But you start with the Royal Rampage, which took out the majority of the time, and then it's like, all right, guys, we got like 15 minutes tops to fit in these last three matches. Let's figure out what we gonna do. Right. And it showed. It definitely showed, because Private Party was a non-factor. I love them, but I was like, why are they in this match? Like, why? Right.
Honestly,
I thought they were getting pinned. I was very shocked they weren't, but then I was like, oh wait, the Outrunners are in here. Never mind.
Yeah, it was really the Righteous beating on the Outrunners, and then, you know, with a guest appearance by Private Party, and then, like I said, Kyle Fletcher and Roosh come swooping in and get a 1-2-3 pin. You know. So
why did we not have the rematch for that championship last night between Kyle and Atlantis? Like, he was right there.
I know. I have no idea. But that was your Rampage for July 26th. And now I'm gonna toss this back to Mikey, and we can talk about a better put together show.
Yes, we are tagging myself in. I'm tagging myself in because I'm going to lead us through Collision, which, if you argue to me that Rampage was better than Collision this week, then my question is, what are you on? But honestly, Collision was definitely a better put together show.
Yes.
It took me a little bit because it took me last week to get used to how Collision is going to be looking for the next couple of weeks, since we're here at the Esports Arena in Arlington, Texas.
Yep.
But you know what? I kind of like it because it gives Collision its own identity outside of the tunnels that Dynamite is currently using. So I'm here for it. But we kick off Collision this week. I love that they're bringing in like outside nonsense to why we got this match, and I'm here for it because we open up with Orange Cassidy versus Johnny TV. And this match literally stemmed from because at San Diego Comic-Con, there was a tournament.
Yep.
There was a wrestling tournament at San Diego Comic-Con that had Willow, Orange, Taya, Valkyrie, and Johnny TV. They fought each other in the finals, and they still got beef from this, so this is why we got this match.
Yep.
I don't care. It looked like a lot of fun from the clips they showed us of what went down at San Diego Comic-Con, which I'd love. And honestly, you know what? I knew that Orange was going to win. I mean, that's fun, but Johnny's just so good. He is just great comedic heel. Like when he was laying on the side, Taya gives him the sunglasses, and then he does his own Orange Cassidy pose. I mean, it was a fun opener.
He's TV ready, so just saying.
I was low-key rooting for him last night. I was low-key rooting for him last night, but this match was fun. It was what it was. I do wish that, even though there was some semblance of a story, I'm hoping that Collision is starting to learn, because this was a better example of this week than last week. But I need Collision to stop also being like Rampage 2.0 and throwing matches just for the sake of it on the card. I was like, you have a secondary show. Figure out a way to divide your roster better and then focus on those stories on Collision. Like, it's not that hard. But anyways, Alice, I'm going to come to you. How did you feel about our opener this week between Orange and Mr. TV?
I liked it because Taya Valkyrie was in the wings, right? And she's always very fun. I think she's a little much, but that's fine. She's still fun and entertaining. And I liked that they were kind of brought to the main feed. Sure, why not? Beef from San Diego Comic-Con. It's fun. It's silly a little bit, and still better than Rampage. So,
fair.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
So, Orange wins. He's tired, and then Taya actually beats him up, which is kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I was like, I love it. So Taya beats him up. Johnny tries to join in, and then out comes our CMLL Women's Champion, Willow Nightingale, for the save. I love this odd pairing of Willow and Orange, and she's technically part of the conglomeration now, so I'm not upset about that. But she comes in for the save. Johnny and Taya run for the hills, and that is how we end that match. So, fun opener. It served what it did. And then we move on, because next we have a very upset Bang Bang Gang as they are cutting this promo backstage about, Mama Wayne costing them the AEW Trios Championship last week. But that's okay, because the Bang Bang Gang are going to come after her and get those things back for them. Yep. So it seems that we're not done quite yet with this feud. And you know what? Now you officially have Juice Robinson leading the guns, since Jay White is mysteriously still off television for who knows how long.
Well, it's not mysterious. We know why he's off TV.
Well, I know that. But
spoiler, his foot got injured. So he's going to be out of TV for a little bit. Right now they're saying that he shouldn't be out too long, but they didn't give any time frames, so we'll see.
We shall see. And you know what? I love the Bang Bang Gang, and if they're gonna fight with the patriarchy still, I'm here for it, because that match was actually pretty fun last week.
Yep.
As long as Juice is still there.
Yes.
He's so important to that group.
Juice is the real reason we're here for this.
Yes.
But going from a fun trio to a really fun triple threat tag team match, in my opinion, we have, just because we have Blackpool Combat Club being represented by Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta taking on the team of Brian Cage and Lee Moriarty. Shane Taylor was not cleared to wrestle with Lee, so we threw the Swolverine, Adolfo's baby daddy, in here.
That's right. I would buy him many drinks.
Yes, and those two teams were also taking on Darius and Dante of Top Flight. So this is just a triple threat.
Because why not?
Why not? Throw everybody in the ring.
Just throw it all in there.
Yeah, you can wrestle it in a little bit. Here you go.
Yeah.
I was like, majority of you folks just fought last night on Death Before Dishonor, so you're here, so let's just do it.
Right.
I actually really liked this match for a couple of different reasons. I thought everyone did really good. It was, if we want to keep Claudio and Wheeler as the tag team for BCC right now, since Jon Moxley is taking time off of AEW television, I'm here for it. I also really like the fact that they're also doing continuity from Ring of Honor stuff, which is kind of crazy to say on AEW television, right? Because Lee and Wheeler still got some beef after what went down last night at Death Before Dishonor, which, spoiler alert, Lee Moriarty beat Wheeler Yuta to become the new ROH Pure Champion.
Yep.
So excited and happy for him. But yeah, this was a fun tag team match. Ultimately, I was very happy to see that Lee Moriarty did not get pinned, that Darius actually took the pin, which is kind of crazy because Top Flight rarely takes
Yes, he
pins
did.
now. And I thought they were going to
Yep.
pin Leo. I was like, don't do this. He just won the title last night.
Mhm.
But Adolfo, I'm going to come to you first. How did we feel about this triple threat?
So, I mean, the match itself was really entertaining. It had a lot of great spots. It had, those spots that we've come to love and enjoy, like when Claudio takes the person and does and spins them. We had Top Flight, doing the flippy dippy. So it was enjoyable. It was a good match. I saw nothing wrong with it. We have Shane Taylor Productions, yet again, I guess they are now going to in the fold of the regular AEW roster and storyline now, I guess. So there we have it. But yeah, it was good. It was good.
Sweet. Alice, how did you feel about these three teams going at it?
It was good. I agree with you. I was happy to see Wheeler Yuta with Castagnoli. I don't particularly care for John Moxley, and I felt like this was a better pairing in my opinion. So thanks for that. I'm happy to see a change there. And I do love Top Flight. They're so fun, just like bouncing all over the place. I think they're really entertaining, and I like them as a tag team. So yeah, I thought this was a good match overall.
Again, like I said, if BCC wants to keep Claudio and Wheeler as the tag team for them, I am here for it, and pick up the win by Darius getting pinned by Wheeler, which makes me happy because I thought that Tiger Style was about to get this pinned because the disrespect.
Right. I do have a question to toss to you though, Mikey.
Oh no.
In that Nigel was doing his Nigel thing, which we enjoy Nigel for being Nigel. But his comments about Wheeler, that Wheeler should set off on his own, pull away from Blackpool Combat Club. How do you feel about that? Because it does kind of feel like they're all kind of doing their own thing right now anyway. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, technically that's how it is because Danielson is involved because he has his match against Swerve at All In. So that storyline is his primary focus. Mox is taking time off of television, so who knows when he'll return. So it kind of just leaves Claudio and Wheeler to kind of do some tag team stuff on their own. So, I mean, technically that's what it is. And, even though I think Nigel was just being in character when he said this, I honestly think Nigel also had a hint of truth behind it too.
But right, exactly. And that's why I'm asking, because it just felt like there was that nugget of truth underneath it all. You know what I mean?
I think Wheeler being put with BCC because Wheeler's in-ring was always fantastic, but the thing that he was missing was the mic and the promo skills. We've talked about it on multiple reviews of AEW that Wheeler's in-ring is great, but when he was by himself, his promo skills were not necessarily the greatest. But since being with BCC and under the tutelage of Mox, Danielson, and Claudio, I honestly think Wheeler has gotten a little bit better. And honestly, I would kind of like to see if Wheeler's going to go out on his own. I want Wheeler to go to ROH more than anything because I feel like he's a better fit there. And I want him to end up being what I wish Josh Woods would have been down there and just like run Rampart, like have him go for the television championship. If he wants to fight for the world championship, I think Wheeler has the skills to do so. But if Wheeler's going to go on his own, I think he's ready, but I would stick him in ROH because I think he would flourish better there because AEW's roster is very bloated right now. And there's too many things. Unless you are a Swerve and Ospreay and MJF, you can kiss having a singles title goodbye.
Right.
Because we're running into that problem. Because look at Pac. Technically, he's the number one contender for this international championship. And we kind of forgot about that because we got the announcement earlier this week that MJF Ospreay 2 is happening at Wembley.
Yep. So there you go. All right, back to you, Mikey.
Yes, so I'm going to lead this back in because we got a new member of the conglomeration in this backstage segment. I had to pause because I laughed way too hard when we got this reveal. And also, Kyle O'Reilly can do no wrong in my eyes. Just him being weird, being goofy in the background. But we have the conglomeration in this iteration. First, it's just Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Tomohiro Ishii before being interrupted and joined by Willow and Orange. But we get this promo because Lexi talks to them. How do you feel about this match? Which I was very surprised because they're like, I thought this was supposed to be the main event, and that's what it was touted. And then they changed it, which I was like, oh my gosh.
That was weird.
It was wild. But anyways, Mark Briscoe does his Mark Briscoe thing. He gets all hyped up. He gets everybody invested. He debuts the newest member of the conglomeration in Baby J. I was like, what is this? I was like, there are children in this faction, and I'm here for it. This is wild. And the whole entire time, too, he's holding Baby J. Meanwhile, Kyle O'Reilly during this promo is playing with the ROH World Championship like it's his own child.
I mean, you know, Mark did tell Kyle to hold his baby.
Yeah, hold his baby. Kyle is just so dad humor. I love him so much. It's fantastic. Yeah. But ultimately, once again, this is a promo to get the rah-rahs up and to, you know, do everything. Baby J for international champion. Book it, Tony. Speaking of booking, Tony's little pet project was up next because we have our next match, which is Hologram versus the Beast Mortos.
Yep.
I'm going to put a pause in this real quick before we talk about the match. Maybe it was just me, but Tony Schiavone was off his game for like the first 30 minutes of the show. Like he was stumbling over words. That's, you know, I'm being generous. You're right, Alice. The whole show. He was stumbling over words. He was calling people by the wrong names. I'm like, Tony is tired. Like somebody
let the man take a nap.
Let the man take a nap. I was like, you're literally in Texas. Where was Ian? Like, where is Ian?
Yeah.
Because I thought he was also part of the Collision crew. I'm like, where is Ian Riccaboni? Put this man on there. But anyways, back to what we were talking about. We got Hologram versus Beast Mortos. I really enjoyed this match, but, you know, after watching the review last week and then rewatching the match from last week and this week, I'm going to throw it over to Adolfo because I got a question for you because you had made a very interesting statement during the review last week because... You know, now that BC WrestlePod is reviewing CMLL and you watch it on your spare time.
Yep.
We definitely notice a difference when it comes to Lucha Libre as it is in Mexico versus how it is presented in the Western, you know, audiences.
Yep.
So I would like you to expand. So first question, what did you think of the match? And secondly, why do you think it's so hard for Western audiences to get invested in Lucha Libre like we have with CMLL?
So to answer the first question, the match was a great match. I'm definitely going to revisit it for my match of the year when it comes time. They're both luchadors, so they both know what to do. And how to do it. They both worked really well together. And what was nice is that Hologram, even though he's getting this push, he, for a good portion of this match, he got the snot kicked out of him. You know what I mean? Beast Mortos was being Beast Mortos, you know, and was manhandling him. And also it showed the other side of Beast Mortos in his agile side and his lucha side. So the match was a great match. If you have a minute and you look it up on YouTube and watch it, because it's a great match. As to why main US fans can't get into lucha, I don't know. I mean, the styles are different, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe the standard U.S. wrestling fan just really likes that, you know, that WWF style wrestling that they were brought up on, you know, headbutts and clotheslines and figure four leg locks and things like that, you know. I see Lucha. I see a lot of complaints about Lucha in that, oh, it's just flippy dippy do and spot fest and this, that, and the other, which it's not. I feel that might be another issue, is that presented in US TV, Lucha is very much to like be glittery and be like a flash and be like, oh, look at this, woo, you know. Whereas if you watch a CMLL match, you know, that spot is the entire match, you know, and they keep wrestling at this high energy level, right? Also, you know, like the structure is different, like with your relevos australianos, you know, where you have a lot of best 2 out of 3. So, you know, even though it's a long match, it's like 3 short matches in this one long match. So you know, I find it easier to watch. But I really couldn't give you a straight up answer as to why Lucha, why US fans aren't as gravitated to Lucha as we are. I will say though, it was nice that the Arlington, Texas fans, they were invested in this match. So that was a beautiful thing.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Alice, before I come to you, just to add into this, I also think too that in the Western audiences, when it comes to Lucha Libre, I also feel like there hasn't been a lot of big Lucha Libre stars that make it big in the West. Outside of, I think the biggest standard, unfortunately, is that Lucha Libre, the standard is Rey Mysterio. Which, don't get me wrong, I love me a good Rey Mysterio. Like, he is my childhood and everything. But he's the only big Lucha name that gets brought up here in the Western states. And it's only through exposure from CMLL and AAA that people are now, well, at least people who take the time to invest, is like you have a Vikingo, you have, you know, Mystico, you have all these different athletes. It's just that they're not in the States. But Alice, this is Hologram's second match, second week in a row. He is now 2-0. How did you feel about the match? And is Tony Khan's project working for you? Why or why not?
I love Hologram. He's great. So if Hologram is Tony's little project, then yes, it's working for me. Yeah, so I loved this match. I love the Beast Muertos. It's so fun to watch him and seeing them together, like 2 Lucha Libre fighters together is so much fun. It's so fast. They're just chucking themselves at each other and then rolling and flipping and doing all this fabulous stuff. It's so much fun. I think to the discussion earlier, I think something that's like the style is different and it happens so fast. And I think a lot of the time, other wrestling is much slower. So I wonder if sometimes there's like, it's hard to keep up, right, with what's going on, or the transfer of power or whichever, because generally speaking, wrestling isn't at that high energy level all the time. They'll have like those spurts of high energy and then there will be a break in the match, right? They don't always go at they don't go at 100 all the time like they do in Lucha Libre. But this is working for me. I love Hologram. More, please. He's great fun. And same with the Beast Muertos. I love seeing him. I am a little disappointed because a lot of the times I see the Beast Muertos, he's in to take the pin. And I would like to see him come away with a win. I like him a lot. And I want to see more of him. But I know that right now we're pushing Hologram, and I'm not mad about that. So there's that.
That is. So I thought, closing thoughts, I thought this was a really fun match. Hologram picks up another victory. He's now 2-0. And we shall see what waits for Hologram as we continue on with Collision. We go to commercial and immediately we come back to our next match. This is Thunder Rosa taking on Maya World, so local Texas talent, also student of Athena, for anybody who is any curious about that, because we have seen her in Ring of Honor on numerous occasions. I mean, this match wishes just to get Thunder a win because she's been on a losing streak against Deanna, and what I think has been a one-sided feud for a good majority of this. Yeah, I mean, the match itself, it was a match that happened, which is this is where my frustration with the night began, because Thunder is so damn good in the ring, but for the last 2 months, we've been giving her nothing but essentially squash matches. And, you know, the feud with Deanna has not really been there for the most part, and I don't understand why. I thought, I was like, okay, so the lumberjack match that happened, like, surely we're moving on because Thunder keeps losing. No, because after the match, Thunder calls out Deanna. Once again, I'm like, I was excited about this feud at the very beginning of it, but the poor handling of this feud has not necessarily been the greatest. So my interest in this has been disappointment because it's not balanced. Thunder keeps losing, and like if she ends up winning in a big time match, I was like, but Deanna still has like 2 or 3 matches up on you. Like that's not necessarily like even. I'm happy to see Thunder on TV, but yeah.
Yeah, but the difference is that Deanna's wins are because of shenanigans. They're not
right.
Clean wins. So to which I disagree. I'm actually still invested in this. I'm still fully invested in this. I appreciate how Thunder's going to this dark place to come back up. And I feel that when they do Deanna and Thunder, and Deanna can't rely on shenanigans, and Thunder gets that win, I feel it's going to be a well deserved and a great moment. So I'm still in. I'm still all in on this feud, and I'm excited to see more of it.
Alice, where do you lie on the spectrum of this match and the overall Thunder and Deanna feud?
I'm disappointed that Thunder Rosa keeps getting squash matches for wins because I think she's a much better wrestler than that. I'm also annoyed with the feud between Deanna and Thunder. I don't like Deanna. So I think it's so clear that Thunder Rosa is a better wrestler than Deanna. I think that is so clear. And I understand, like, we're going the heel route, we're going the underhanded route with Deanna, and that's why she keeps, with the camera and the piece of the turnbuckle, whatever she's like, doing shenanigans to win. It's just not really believable for me. We did get like a spot from Thunder Rosa. I think it was on like a Dynamite or something where she was like, I keep losing and I can't, I'm so upset with myself. I'm like, I totally get that. Like, give her a win that's not like a 3-minute match. I also think like if there was some give and take between the two, that there would be a little bit more. It would be a little bit more interesting with their feud. So I'd like to see at least the next time they come together, Thunder Rosa get a win. I'd like to see a clean match from Deanna. I know that's a hard ask. I know it's a big ask, but I'd like to see it. So,
yeah, I'm hoping that whatever match lies next for Thunder and Deanna, that it needs to be a big thing, because we had a no DQ match, we had the lumberjack match. They need throw them in a Texas death match. Like, throw a steel cage at it. Like, we need something to be like, okay, this is it. Whoever walks out of this is the ultimate winner. Honestly, steel cage would be great because it prevents Deanna from doing shenanigans, but it allows both of them to do shenanigans in this ring. And we know that Thunder has a good track record when it comes to cage matches and extreme matches like that. But we move on from this. We go backstage. Lance Archer is destroying everybody in his path, which, again, that sounds like I'm repeating myself from what we witnessed on Rampage, but that's because it is. We already talked about it. Let's move on. Because then we get into a trios match, the conglomeration. So Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and Tomohiro Ishii taking on the premier athletes of Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, and Josh Woods, being accompanied to the ring by Smart Mark and Sterling. I actually like this match. And Kyle got the win for his team. I was like, finally. I was worried for a bit because after Kyle lost to Will Ospreay in that international championship match, I'm like, where are we going with Kyle? Like, what are we doing with him? And now the conglomeration is actually a really fun thing. Yes. Alice, I'm going to come to you first. So this was trios match. Everybody had their moment to shine. Tony Nese impressed the hell out of me in this match, which is kind of nuts to say. But Alice, how did you feel about this trios match?
This trios match was good. I was happy to see that Kyle O'Reilly did get the pin because I feel, even though I'm glad, I feel like he fits in the conglomeration. I feel like he's still trying to figure himself out. Like I don't, because there are some times where he's like serious, Kyle O'Reilly, and then there are places where he's like, I'm fun dad jokes, Kyle O'Reilly, So like let's maybe figure out where we're gonna go with this. So he's working on himself. It's all right. So I don't like the premier athletes. I cannot tell the three of them apart. They all look the same to me. Yay, gold pants, I guess. They're not. I don't know. I feel like this was just to toss the conglomeration a win because I don't perceive them as a sincere threat. The premier athletes, I haven't liked them since the beginning. I feel like they came out of nowhere. I think they're trying to establish themselves. It's not working for me. I don't like it. So the match was fine. Yay, Kyle O'Reilly. That's where I'm at.
Right. It seems like taking them out of ROH when they were trying to establish this new gimmick really quickly was backfired on everybody. Who knew? Yeah. Sorry, ROH person here gonna be bitter about it. But Adolfo, same question. How do we feel about this trios match?
I agree with Alice. When I saw it on the card, I was like, okay, we're gonna give the conglomeration a win. Cool. It was a fun match. I thought it was a fun match. I agree with you as well, Mikey, to take the premier athletes out of ROH and kind of do this AEW push thing, heel jobber thing, whatever they're doing. Or I'm sorry, heel developmental talent. I think that's what Dustin Rhodes wants them called, developmental talent. At any rate, it's not working for me either, and I'm bitter that they were yanked from ROH to do this type of thing. That aside, fun match. I love my Tomohiro Ishii going in and dudes trying to think that they can lay a lick on him, and he's just like, love that. And seeing Mark Briscoe go all chicken kung fu, it always makes my week. So that's it.
Right. So again, conglomeration picks up the win. We move on to, all right, let's talk about this. We get our weekly Chris Jericho segment.
Do we have to?
Yes.
Do we have to?
We'll just brush through this real quick. We do not like Chris Jericho. This is a promo to set up the fact that, basically give us a recap what happened on Dynamite, in which, Shibata is back. So Shibata is going to be going up against Jericho probably sometime next week. And then, Chris Jericho made it an effort to acknowledge that Shibata's by himself because there's no Hook and no Samoa Joe, which literally tells me they're probably coming back in some capacity. And we're going to get a 3-on-3 match, which, I'm here for, if anything, because to, invoke Professor, he thinks that the learning tree is the best thing going on in wrestling right now. And we tell him every week that he's a mad lad. But that was it. We're moving on because I don't want to talk about Jericho any more than I have to. And then we could also breeze past this next match because it was like 30 seconds, honestly. Lance Archer.
Yeah, this was Lance Archer. It was a Rampage repeat. Next.
Yeah, copy paste.
Yeah. Next.
Lance Archer beats a local talent, wins, and he will be facing Will Ospreay on Dynamite, which should be a good match, hopefully.
I wanted to say one thing quickly.
Go for it.
Because the announcers were like, he's the biggest and scariest man in AEW. Wrong. Biggest, scariest man in AEW is Brody King. Thank you.
Seriously. My baby daddy.
Right. That's right.
All right, but hang on. Let me take these glasses off because let's talk about the real reason we were all here tonight. Because everyone get your poses ready because we are at my match of the night and my match of the Rampage and Collision block because we had FTR versus MXM Collection. I'm gonna be honest, you guys. Like, I knew that MXM Collection was not gonna win here, but this ended up being my match of the night because of how hilarious that MXM are. But what pushed this over is my favorite match between Rampage and Collision is the fact that FTR leaned into the absurdity of the gimmick, which we do not see those boys be super funny about it. And I loved every minute of this match. This was so freaking fun. This was my match of the whole entire Rampage and Collision block. Alice, I'm going to go to you first. We saw them on Death Before Dishonor at 0 Hour. We've been getting the vignettes, and now they made their Collision debut against FTR. How do we feel about MXM Collection?
I loved this match. This, in my opinion, should have been the main event. This was incredible. I love the MXM Collection. I love their gimmick. They're so funny and engaging, and I loved that FTR, like you said, leaned into it. They did some of the gimmick, like it was so great. I loved that there was like the ref got distracted for a second. There was like a 7 count pin, but the ref was only there for 1, and so the match went on even longer. I loved the back and forth, the new moves you got to see, like it just top tier. I loved this. More. I think I even said that we were watching and I was like, more please, more of this. Yes, I approve.
Give me more of MXM Collection.
I got so excited my camera fell.
The camera felt the excitement. Adolfo, MXM Collection. How do we feel?
They were entertaining on Death Before Dishonor 0 Hour. They were entertaining against FTR. Yes, I was so happy that FTR also leaned into the ridiculousness of the whole MXM Collection. Not only are they entertaining, but they do have the moves to back up their the entertaining side of it. So don't sleep on them. I hope that they don't fall into this ROH AEW trope that we've been seeing, where they will be very successful in ROH, but then they'll come up to AEW and they will be enhancement talent. That's what Dusty Rhodes. That's what Dustin wanted them called as, enhancement talent. That they're going to be brought up to be enhancement talent in AEW. If they're going to be a threat in one spot, they should be a threat in all the spots. So, that's my only negative, dare I say. Other than that, they were fantastic. Fantastic. Loved them. Really quick, is this the same Maxim Male models from?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
This is Maxim Male models. When they got released from WWE, they kept the gimmick. They ran through the independent scene, which was fantastic. And now they're signed to ROH.
Cool.
So excited.
Beautiful.
Also, FTR does pick up the victory here, but you know what? I'm not mad at it because FTR initiated the best thing, in which commentary they initiated just the tip afterwards. This is so MXM Collection is so queer coded, you guys. I'm here for it. Like it is so metrosexual, like early 2000s. It's models. It is so good, and they both leaned into it so well. So after the best match, look, say what you will about the Acclaim and how you felt about that, but we get a promo from them right after Blood and Guts. Me and Andrew are on our own side here because this is the intensity I need to see from the Acclaim all the time. And honestly, for me, like, I love the Acclaim, but I am ready for an Anthony Bowen singles run, you guys. Like, let's have Anthony hold a singles title because this man is carrying the Acclaim. I'm not going to lie. Like, honestly. But the Acclaim cut this promo. They're coming after the Bucks for the titles, and they also called out FTR in this match, which means to tell me, you guys, I don't know, we might be getting a triple threat down the line. Who knows? I think we're getting the triple threat at Wembley.
Yep.
Which I'm not going to lie, that actually would be a baller match. Like, that would be fantastic. But yeah, honestly, say what you will about the Acclaim, but I think those boys earned their stripes in Blood and Guts. Anthony Bowen's crashing through all those tables, and Max Caster getting the thumbtacks in the mouth kick spot. Like, it was crazy. So then I was confused because then we get to our main event, and the poster lied to me leading into Collision.
Thank God I'm not the only one that was confused.
Okay, because the posters that they post on social media, usually the match that is at the very top of the Collision poster is what ends up being our main event. And originally, it was the Conglomeration versus the Premier Athletes. That was not the case because our main event, it was Pac versus Lio Rush. And question one, I was like, I'm confused. Why is this the main event? No hate or no shade to the two performers in this match. But by the end of this, I'm like, this does not feel like a main event match. And,
it was a good match.
It was a good match, but this was not a main event match for me. Like, honestly, Alice, we talked a little bit about this before we started the review. And we kind of talked about that this was a weird place to put this as the main event. So first and foremost, how do you feel about our main event? What did you think of the match? And secondly, let's get conspiracy theory. What do you think happened to cause AEW to change the main event?
That's a great question. I'm first of all going to say Lio Rush is my best friend, and I love him very much. Oh my gosh, I need to stop running into stuff. Okay, it's my desk that I keep bumping. Anyway, so this match was okay. It was a good match. I liked they were well matched as wrestlers, but this was not a main event match. Like you guys both have said. There was like no lead up. There was no setup for this. It feels like it came out of nowhere. Maybe something happened and they were like, oh my gosh, grab two people and put them in the ring. I don't know. It was a good match, well fought. I was disappointed that Pac got the win. But as you were mentioning, I think this was earlier. I don't know if it was before we started streaming, but he is like the top contender for stuff. And we have forgotten about it. Like 100%. I forgot Pac was like a top contender for a belt. Like, I had no idea. I feel like I haven't seen him in ages. So it was good to see him and see him get a win, especially if we're trying to establish that he is a threat and he is a top contender for a belt. Because as somebody who is watching Rampage and Collision and just clips from Dynamite, I feel like I haven't seen this man in months. So where has he been? Did they realize all of a sudden that they're like, oh my gosh, he's supposed to have a match for this. We're supposed to be pushing this. Quick, put him on the card.
Well, what hasn't helped either, especially this week, is the fact that Pac had a squash match with Boulder of the Iron Savages on Dynamite. And then he basically had this match with Leo. I mean, granted, the best that Pac has done this week is when he went to CMLL last night with Death and him and the Lucha Brothers as Death Triangle faced off against probably your top stars in CMLL right now. But that's a whole different review. Check that out next Wednesday. But yeah, I was just like, this was a weird main event. And, I'm going to throw it to you, Adolfo, because same question. Like, what do you think happened? And, and how did you feel about the match itself?
Travel. I think that's why the match got bumped to the main event. Because Pac was in Mexico City last night. He was down there for the CMLL show with Death Triangle. I feel like with the airlines are still all sorts of messed up, that he probably had some sort of travel issues. And this match was probably supposed to be earlier on in the night, but he couldn't get in until late. So they ended up pushing it in lieu of just like scrapping the match altogether. Who knows? Maybe Leo was already in Texas and, and Pac was supposed to be there and he was but at any rate, I think it's probably travel related. That's why this match got bumped. I mean, the match was fine. Like we all have said, wasn't a main event, but it was an entertaining match. They were both great wrestlers. If anything, this was a great part one of, yes, give me more Leo Rush versus Pac, because I want to see it. But yeah, definitely not a main event and travel.
Right. So before we give our final ratings for this week's Rampage and Collision, just to do some breaking news real quick, I do have the results of Battle of the Belts. So in order from the matches that happened, Toni Storm defeated Taya Valkyrie and then cut a promo against Mariah May. Again, this was an eliminator match, so Taya is not getting a championship match. Willow Nightingale in the second match of the night beat Deonna Purrazzo. And the more interesting part about that is that Taya tried to help Deonna out once again, like during the Lumberjack match, but it backfired because Thunder Rosa came down to run interference for Willow. So honestly, if we get like a somewhat tag team match between these four women, I would love that. And then in your main event, and this was the most, I'm not surprised about the winner, but I'm surprised about it still. Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs are your new Ring of Honor 6-man World Tag Team Champions because they beat the Undisputed Kingdom clean. That's the part that surprised me.
Wow.
So
I mean, the Von Erichs and Dustin are babyface, so I would assume that they would get a clean win. But wow.
Here's what's going to happen because we're in Texas for the next couple weeks. Dustin and the Von Erichs are holding those things until they leave Texas. Then they're going to lose them to, I think they're going to the Undisputed Kingdom before we leave Texas. Before we go to All In, those 6-mans are probably going to end up on the Undisputed Kingdom by the end of the stay in Texas. And that's what we said during the watch along last night for Ring of Honor.
Okay.
So yeah,
I have thoughts about that.
That is Battle of the Belts. So let's get into our rating, and then I'm going to get to my major announcement, kind of. But for this week's Rampage and Collision, I will go first. Collision was definitely the better of the two shows. Rampage had its issues of how we play certain matches. And also the last 3 matches after the Royal Rampage kind of like didn't get enough time for anything. We literally cut entrances for the main event, which was not great. Collision was definitely a highlight for me. I'm going to give this like a solid 6 out of 10 for me this week. Rampage was not great. And I still have questions about how we have Darby winning and getting a shot at Grand Slam for the world title when he has a match for the TNT championship. So, I mean, we'll see what AEW does with all of that. But Alice, I'm going to come to you next. What do you give this week's Rampage and Collision block?
I'm also going to give it a 6. I did think that that Rampage was entertaining and it was fun to see like a different setup, but at what cost, my friends? You know, what a shame that we had to squeeze all those matches right in the end there, and like with like 15-20 minutes remaining. And then Collision was good, it was decent. So, but I again, better of the two, but not good enough to bump it up to a 7. So I'm going to stick with a 6.
And last but certainly not least, Adolfo, what do you give this week's AEW block?
I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 out as well. I was going to give it a 5 out of 10, believe it or not. And I was going to say, with the amount of stuff that the AEW company had going on this week, to me, it made more sense just to cancel Rampage so that you could have Death Before Dishonor. You had ROH still on Thursday. You had Wednesday Night Dynamite, and then you had the big Collision tonight. So, like, you know, just cancel a Rampage, because of any, this is the show that it kind of felt like they were like, too. But Collision, the thing that brought it up was Collision. Collision was very entertaining to me. It was definitely when Pac and Leo Rush finished their match, I was like, wait, that was the main event? No, really? Oh, we got to go record now, you know? So yeah. So that is my rating.
Excellent. All right. So before we wrap up for tonight, I need to give my big announcement. So you guys, we are signed. No, just kidding. I was just like, we signed a new talent.
Right.
It's Alice. She is signed. No, just kidding. I mean, well, technically, that's also an announcement. Alice is going to be popping up more, especially when we do the combined AEW review, which is the big announcement. So, well, unfortunately, but also like it's also a good thing too. This will be the last Rampage and Collision review done on a Saturday. No, it's not going away. It's just that we're going to combine this review with the Dynamite review. So all 3 AEW shows, so Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, we beginning next week in the month of August, we are going to be combining all the AEW shows, just like we are combining all the WWE shows. So the next time, and technically it's a premiere, there will not be a regular AEW review for any of the 3 shows next week, but on Tuesday, August 6th, we will be premiering the new combined AEW show, in which myself, Adolfo, Alice will be colliding with the Dynamite boys of JBL and the Professor. So the 5 of us are going to be reviewing AEW on Tuesdays. So that's covering the Wednesday show, the Friday and Saturday show, and then recapping all that before the new week begins on Tuesday, as we premiere the All Elite Ensemble reviews, because literally it's going to be a lot of people and I cannot wait. It's going to be out of control and super exciting. This is going to be fun. So stay tuned for all of that. But if you're not, as this upcoming week, we will still have some stuff. We will have our regular ROH and TNA reviews on Fridays, but you are getting 2 pay-per-view reviews next week. Monday, we are reviewing Death Before Dishonor, and then Tuesday, we are reviewing GCW's Bloodsport. So that's going to be very, very fun. But that's going to be
And don't forget Wednesday, Los Lobos de Lucha.
CMLL, where CMLL decided to give all the women stuff to do, and I won't be here for the review. They knew I wasn't going to be here. I was like, you bastards. How dare you? At least I'll be here for MJF and Templario. That should still be a good match, despite my feelings of that gaudy United States Championship MJF has now. But check out our Dynamite review if you want to hear my full thoughts on that. But we're going to get up on out of here. So for the final time as the Double Trouble review, but not the last time for AEW reviews, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you Tuesday, August 6th for the new AEW show. But until then, sayonara, adios.
Billy Stark's outro.
And Billy Stark's outro. Blah.